Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my September 2019 horoscope report for you. I'm going to give you the top 3 must-knows for your sign, including details like looking at the actual charts and seeing what fields of experience these aspects in the sky are going to drill down for your specific sign and what that looks like and how you can best use the energies. I offer so many free resources. Most of the things that I do are free. So you definitely want to tap into all of the things that I am offering to you. Besides these monthly videos that I offer always a month early, you can also go to cozybysweetstarlight.com to get written horoscopes by me and all kinds of other astrology and other blogs. You can go to anniehelpsyou.com to see all of my astrology blogs plus inspirational blogs and other things there. You can sign up for my free email newsletter where you get a written write-up of the month to come a month early, plus my 28-day virtual coaching program for free at anniehelpsyou.com. So definitely make sure you're tapping into all of the things I am working hard every month to offer you. Now I'm going to go into the details of what your sign has to look forward to in September 2019. Hello Cancer friends, welcome to my September 2019 horoscope report for you. We have a wild month of a massive amount of aspects this month. We are not as actively in the eclipse season anymore, so we have that behind us. August was very overstimulating, but very sweet. And in September, we have about an even sweet and salty mixture between the aspects, but we do have lots of opportunities and we do have lots of challenges. Just overall very astrologically busy with around 28 aspects that could be affecting you. So between this video and other resources I've created that I will point you to, I will cover all of it. This video is going to focus on the top 3 things to note for Cancer placements. We've got lots of aspects in earth and water this month, and that ties in directly in sweet aspects to your placement. So even in the situations where there are some challenging aspects, those are still making sweet aspects to your placement. So you have that to look forward to. I'm going to go into lots of details, including showing you the charts and breaking down into early, middle, and late degree Cancer placements, what fields of experience, areas of life you can expect to be activated at this time. So let's go into all of that now. Many of the things that we talk about are going to be true for all Cancer placements, but there are going to be places where I differentiate out between early, middle, and late. So let's see where you are in that. Early is basically our June born, or 0 to 9 degrees, and middle is around July 1st through 10th, or 10 to 19 degrees, and late is July 11th through the rest of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees. If you're watching for a moon in Cancer or Cancer rising, then this report is equally for you as for the sun Cancer folks, because the sun chart, the moon chart, and the rising chart are all different windows into the bigger astrological picture for the individual. Okay, so the top 3 must-knows for Cancer this month are, let's see, the first is about all of this Virgo stellium, how it's going to make beautiful aspects with this Cancer stellium, how it's going to oppose Neptune and square Jupiter. All right, so that's all one. The second piece is about how the climate of the month really changes about 3 or so weeks in as these planets start moving into Libra, which is at a challenging angle. So basically these other aspects involving the earth and water are in sweet aspect for Cancer placements, and I'm using the late chart, but I'm talking about all of y'all right now. And then as it gets towards the end of the month and the planets start getting into Libra rather, then that makes a challenging angle. So we'll talk about that. And then the third has to do with the story of Jupiter for the rest of the year, because it is going to be changing signs shortly. And so we're going to talk about what's going on there. All right, so the first part of the overview for piece number 1, I'm going to cross out this late here because I'm going to be talking about all placements for a little bit, and then I'll break it down into the fields of experience that are going to be lit up for early, middle, and late degree placements. But in general, the mood of the month is very Virgo. So we we have this getting back to the grind, getting your routine established, getting things done, getting things materialized, and committing to or following through with the things that you put in motion in these previous months. The earth energies are really all about grounding your material reality, getting your work out in the world established, getting your daily life in a good flow, and materializing things into the concrete world. It's very tangible, very practical, very pragmatic series of areas of focus. Basically, when this kind of thing is going on, it's saying, do the work and get the rewards. And like I've mentioned before, there are a massive amount of transits this month, but they are all centered around do the work, get the rewards, and possibly reining in some overcommitments or overexpansion that occurred from the previous spree when all the planets were in Leo, when they were making these beautiful aspects to Jupiter. There was just kind of this opening freedom spree. And at this point, it's kind of like a checks and balances saying, okay, what do you have to rein in to make these new changes sustainable? And what work do you have to do to launch your future projects? Because in the scheme of the rest of 2019 and all of 2020, September is one of the only 2 months, with the other being January 2020, that there's no retrograde personal planet shadow period or transit. And that's a big deal. 2020 is a year of retrogrades. I don't know if you've followed my reports for a while. I focus a lot on these retrogrades because they really, really show us the themes that are coming up. And personal planet retrogrades are amazing for so many things. So don't be afraid or say, oh no, not this again, because they're just so wonderful for so many things. But for the big launches, the big decisions, the big activations, launching your big dreams, a lot of times we need the power of the tides going out to push the boat out, because with the retrogrades, the tides go inwards and backwards. So September is really important in this scheme of this time. So anything that's ready to launch now, it would be a good idea now through October 12th. And anything that is not ready, you can use this month to get down into the dirty details so that you can launch once it's December 9th through February 2nd, which is the next and last largest open window of push time. Then you can do your pushes then. And there will be a couple of small open periods in 2020, which of course I will go in lots of detail about as we get closer, but this month is really critical. Okay, I'm going to bring in more of the general energy as to a couple of the other points I mentioned, and then we'll drill down into what areas of life these things are going to focus on for each of you. So this opposition, this series of oppositions, these planets are going to come and make oppositions to Neptune. And oppositions make you feel like you're being pulled in two different directions. So exhaustion, overexertion. Sometimes oppositions will make you feel like there's antagonism to something that you're trying to do, like things are working against you, people are working against you, situations are working against you. And there could be discord or strife that comes from this angle. But equally as likely, a resolution could come from the increased strife or it being put in your face more. And also, you could just achieve a perfect balance. I call oppositions superhero aspects because you really have a chance to get all the balls up in the air, be juggling them all in this beautiful superhero way and be like, whoa, look at all of these balls in the air. How am I doing this? So, you can achieve that. And if you know that it's going on, it will be easier. It's the type of energy where it's really important to get a lot of rest because you have to be on your game. And if you're tired, it's going to be harder to do everything that you need to do and manage these things Okay, so then the last piece here has to do with Jupiter coming and squaring, well, these planets coming and squaring Jupiter, I guess is a better way to say that. So, as I mentioned, in August, when all these planets were in Leo, they made beautiful trines with Jupiter that was just harmony and beautiful outcomes and sweetness and flow. And, you know, August, if you're watching this early, I always post these early. August is one of the, actually, I mean, really, it's the sweetest month of the whole year. Just so much ease and flow. It's amazing. Now, of course, each individual can have different experiences within that because things bump up differently in our own personal charts, but just the general climate. And then as these planets get here with Jupiter, the tests come to expansion. Jupiter, recently direct in August, is moving things back along that had been stalled out at the beginning of the year when it went retrograde. So now this is the checks and balances. So this is like, okay, wow. As I mentioned earlier, did you extend yourself too much? You know, did you overpromise? Do you have to scale back your efforts, at least temporarily, to get some foundational work done? Is your foundation strong enough to sustain the level of expansion that you want? Because if you imagine, you know, when they're building buildings, they have to make a foundation equivalent to the size of the structure. So when Jupiter's in retrograde, it's saying, okay, is that foundation, you know, if you want to build this higher and higher and higher, is the foundation strong enough to sustain that type of growth? And in September, we're finding in some ways, maybe not, maybe you have to scale back, or yes, maybe you did the work and now we can move forward, but there are just these details to attend to. And that's the energy. It's a conflict because Jupiter wants to expand and look at the big picture, and Virgo wants to, I don't want to necessarily say contract, but it wants to drill down into the details. So when you're having one thing trying to expand and saying, hey, bigger picture, and you're having this thing saying, hey, look at the details, they can be in conflict with one another, but you can get them on the same page by saying, okay, just hold your horses. The expansion energy is going to come back. We just have to get these details dealt with first, or get the work done, or something like that. Also, this opposition, I wanted to mention, can bring confusion. Neptune's involvement, especially in an opposition or another challenging angle, can bring confusion. It can bring uncertainty. And this is also kind of a normal thing that happens after an expansion spree. When you're like, whoa, can I do this? Kind of like if you're walking on a tightrope and you're not thinking too much and you're just going and you're like, wow, this is cool, I'm doing this. And then you stop and you look down and you're like, oh God. So this Neptune opposition is kind of like the stopping and looking down and being like, oh my God, I can't do this. There's no way. So, you know, confusion from the outside or from the inside, uncertainty, self-doubt, doubt from others. Also breaches to security can be more likely. So just get your security factors in check. Okay, so now I want to talk about the fields of experience that are going to be lit up. So all of these pie pieces, I always imagine this is like a pizza pie. And these are all fields of experience that we have as humans. And everybody has them. You know, nobody gets out of it, even if you have empty houses in your chart. A lot of times people will say, hey, in my chart, this house is empty. Does it mean I don't have that experience? No, because if you look at a different chart, that could be totally full. If you look at other factors, you know, it could be misleading. So we all have these experiences. So the planets have personalities. And when they're in a configuration where they're joined together like this, it's like a gathering. And so each of the personalities of the planets bring, you know, the flavor of the combination of people at the gathering. The sign is the mood of the gathering or the purpose of the gathering. So all of these personalities are getting together to focus on Virgo things, which is, you know, your health, your diagnostics, things your pets need, your daily life, your organization, your schedule, just the basics, your office life, your work, you know, all of those things. And then the house is where the gathering is. the field of light, the field of experience where this gathering is taking place. So we're going to look at the early, middle, and late degree placements and see the houses that are being accentuated by these aspects that I've just talked about. So at first, I'm going to just list the houses. Then I'm going to make you a grid and talk about what you can see in those houses. So for the early placements, we've got the 3rd house, the 6th house, the 7th house, and the 9th and possibly some 10th house. Middle degree, we've got the 3rd house, the 5th and 6th house, that's on the line there, 7th and 9th. In late degree placements, we've got 2nd and 3rd, 5th, 6th, possibly a little 7th there, and then 8th and 9th. So there's a lot going on there. Okay, so here's the grid. You can see the houses for early, middle, and late. So the late degree placements, you've got quite a bit of the money sector, earned income, anything involving your self-esteem as far as how you are requiring money or receiving money, streams of income, material items, material world, including sustainability projects for those of you who are very connected to the earth plane. The material plane is, in this 2nd house, includes the spectrum of like earth, anything that goes on in the earth plane, which is like living on the land in sync with nature, but also it goes up to the spectrum that has to do with, actual material items, opulence, luxury, things like that. So expect magic and mischief. And really, this is like a theme of the month, which is magic and mischief because, well, I'm not going to write it all out, but anyways, magic and mischief for these areas that we're going to talk about. So all early, middle, and late degree placements are going to have the 3rd house accentuated with magic and mischief, which has to do with communication, and transportation. Okay, communication, transportation, and so issues with those things and resolutions with those things. And if you have to make new purchases, this is one of the best months because you're free of the personal planet retrogrades. So if you have to get a new car, a new bike, a new boat, do note though, there is like a sense of practicality. So even though other luxury or things that you don't necessarily need can be procured at this time, there is an extra energy around things that you actually need, things that make sense, things that are practical. And so if you have to get a new phone or a new computer or a new car, this month is full of opportunities. There can also be things involving siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, things like that come up in a big way. The middle and late degree placements have the 5th house accentuated. So this has to do with children, creativity. It has to do with, babies and birthing, basically. So whether your creative projects are your babies or your children are your babies, or you're helping other people's children or doing children-based projects, these things can come up in a big way. And also hobbies. You could find hidden talents at this time, things that put you out in front of people where they're looking at you. Acting, modeling, fashion, things like that can be accentuated. And also anything fun. I call this a bucket list house. So things that you just really wanted to do, you could be working on those, manifesting those things. Then all the early, middle, and late degree placements have the 6th house accentuated. And really all signs have the energy of the 6th house accentuated at this time because of all the planets in Virgo, and Virgo rules the 6th house. So there's just this focus on, as we've discussed, getting down to the basics. It's a really great time for your medical diagnostics and anything having to do with your health, researching symptoms, getting an exercise regimen together, doing stuff for pets, getting a pet, anything like that. For all early, middle, and late degree placements, the 7th house of partnerships is accentuated. So this, can have to do with romantic partnerships, business, clients, can have to do with your neighbors, anyone you have close relationships with. The relationship sector is getting cast into the limelight here. Also, this is finding practitioners, finding perfect practitioners. So if you need somebody to help you with anything, this is a month where you could find the perfect person, the perfect accountant or the perfect, contractor. The late degree placements also have some of this 8th house, and this is another partnership house, but it has to do more with resources. So like loans, debt, credit, inheritances, things like that, taxes, basically other people's money or shared resources, and winnings, lotto or sweepstakes, things like that. Then the early, middle, and late degree have the 9th house activated. And really, again, for everyone in the zodiac has Jupiter and Sagittarius, and these are both rulers of the 9th house. So that energy is being accentuated of the 9th house for everyone because of this Jupiter transit and Jupiter coming back alive. But there's an extra concentration because of the house placement. So this has to do with traveling, especially different countries, different cultures, different languages. It also has to do with education and teaching. So teaching projects, finding the right program, getting things sorted out with education, travel, or spiritual pursuits, connections with church or other spiritual organizations, and also publishing. Publishing, speaking, writing can come into the forefront here with magic and mischief. And then the early degree placements, you've got this 10th house of work and career, father figures, things like that are getting accentuated. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to mention is that this, later in the month, as the planets start to move into Libra, that's going to start this focus on home and family. And that's going to be true for all early, middle, and late degree placements. It's just going to be staggered. So in September, especially the early folks and some of the middle folks will start feeling this home focus and real estate and things like that. And then as we get more into October, this is going to light up more for the rest of the middle and late degree placements. So all of you will be feeling the awkwardness of the angles of Libra making challenging aspects a square, pressure, with your placement. And then the theme of home is going to start to drizzle in. So basically the first 3 weeks of the month have things in more of an angle, an aspect that flow better with your placements, and then the awkwardness comes more towards the end of the month. If you know it's coming, it's easier to deal with. That's why I tell you beforehand. So the third piece here has to do with Jupiter moving forward and Jupiter's movement for the rest of the year. So Jupiter in the beginning of December is going to change signs from Sagittarius to Capricorn. And so like I had mentioned before, Jupiter was going direct in the beginning of the year. Then in April, it went retrograde and everything kind of stalled out. And then in August, it started moving forward again. So for early degree placements, you're going to complete your Jupiter transit through the 6th house between now and December. And then middle degree placements, you have some of the 5th house energies possibly coming back as a theme, or still as a theme. And then you've got movement through the 6th house, but then once it changes signs, you're going to have a little bit longer with the energy of Jupiter in the 6th house. Of course, we'll talk about what this means in a second. We just want to get everyone on the board here. You can see for the late degree placements that Jupiter is dropped back into the 5th house. So you have a little while longer of it accentuating the 5th house before you even start to get your 6th house Jupiter work. And I do get questions sometimes. They'll say, Annie, other astrologers say that Jupiter is already here for all Cancer placements, and there are so many different types of astrology. One common type of astrology is called whole house, where they don't take into consideration these early, middle, and late. They just group it all together, and there's truth I believe that I'm very inclusionary. I don't even know if that's a word, but inclusive, that's the word I was looking for. Basically, I look for the truth in everything, and I don't try to put truths against each other. So whole house astrology has equal validity to Placidus, tropical Placidus here. You can see my charts are, this is how I learned. My teacher did it that way. That's why I do it that way. And there are pieces here that aren't taken into consideration that are equally as true and just true at the same time. So in these Placidus charts, the middle and later degree placements have, especially these long-term outer transits, staggered. So for early and middle, and soon to be, but not quite for late, Jupiter is expanding the 6th house of your office space, your schedule, your regimen. We talked about the 6th house because it's being accentuated quite a bit. But things moving forward with, health, trying to solve health problems, trying to get your exercise regimen, try to get your perfect diet, get your supplements straightened out, office space dynamics. If you have started a business or are starting a business, the 6th house is great for all of that kind of thing. And this can have to do with yoga and anything medical, but also alternative practitioners, things like that. And then for the rest of the middle and late degree placements, things moving forward in a bigger way that might have been stalled out in the 5th house, which has to do with children. So if you're trying to have a baby or you're trying to move something along for a child, those projects can start to get more steam and focus, and creative projects, and your creativity could have been blocked, had writer's block or creator's block during the time of the retrograde, but now the creative juices are flowing more because of the forward movement in that 5th house. And this, again, is also fun. And also, by the way, the 5th house is romance. I didn't mention that before when we talked about it being accentuated for, I believe it was the middle and late degree placements. And again, here with Jupiter, yeah, that's right. It was middle and late because it was this Jupiter tie-in, which is why it was a factor. But so things might have been stalling out in the romantic sector. But if you're trying to move forward with a current relationship or finding someone new, this Jupiter movement through the 5th house is called the house of true love. And sometimes when Jupiter is in the 5th house, it can bring your true love to you or back to you. Okay, so this is my very extensive list of things that are most on my mind for you all this month. Overall, a very, very astrologically busy month, and I think overall very sweet and full of potential accomplishments and forward movement for Cancers. We have 28 different aspects this month, and it's so astrologically busy. I've focused on the top 3 for your sign. But if you would like to have more information about all of these aspects, definitely look for my September 2019 must-knows for all signs. All right, so if you search for Annie Botticelli and then just the general must-knows for all signs, you're going to get more details. And then also, if you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com, you get a write-up of the month ahead, a month early. And in there, I list all the 28 for my September one. I list all the 28 aspects, the days they occur, the planets that are involved, what you can expect from them, and you have that delivered to your inbox. And I do that every month. So to get the full story about everything, and I have other resources which I'll list as well to help give you all the information you need to make this the best month possible. So if you love details like these, I have so many more places that you can get resources for this month and in general astrology. So definitely listen to my video, September 2019 must-knows for all signs. That's going to give you lots more details about how these aspects can show up and how you can best use them. I have written horoscopes that are usually talking about things different than the videos for each month. So you can see those at cozybysweetstarlight.com. There are also astrology and other blogs there at cozybysweetstarlight.com. You can go to anniehelpsyou.com to see my massive amount of astrology blogs to help you with transits that are occurring now, and other goodies on my site. You can sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com, which will get you a write-up about the general aspects with all of them listed so that you have them for your planning purposes, always a month early. So you can do that at anniehelpsyou.com. Plus you get my free 28-day coaching program called Shine when you sign up for my free email newsletter. So I also have astrology education. So all the things I just listed are all free, and I do those for you every month. But I also have some even more in-depth astrology education options at anniehelpsyou.com that you can check out. I would love for you to learn with me. Definitely check out my book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days, an Amazon bestseller, and a wonderful companion for my fellow spiritual seekers. So you can see that on Amazon or at radicalprayerbook.com. And you can check out my husband's site for even more resources that he offers, which is iamhelios.com. So he's B.R. Newman at iamhelios.com. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.